Good morning, this is Pam and we are out in the Secret Garden here at Flower Patch one more time. This is May 21st, I do believe. The iris are blooming. This is a vintage iris right here, it's a yellow one. They have smaller petals than the larger hybrids. But they're just beautiful and they perform. I have one here and I have one over there. And then this one, this grouping, already some of them are beginning to fade, but there's just so many. I'll continue to get blooms for another week, too, from this one. My iris in my garden are early blooming, mid blooming, and late blooming. So I get a long bloom season. I know a lot of people don't care for iris or say they don't grow them because of the short time that they bloom. But you could say that about tulips. You could say that about daffodils. I love my iris. I always have them. They're super easy to grow. They put up with drought. They put up with poor soil. They are just a beautiful, fun flower to grow. So incorporate some into your garden. I don't have them isolated in one single bed. I have them interspersed throughout all of my gardens. So that being said, I'm going to bring you up closer so you can see what's going on back here in this corner. It's really exciting. The purple rooster monarda down here is growing up tall. I may thin that out or move it. It struggles there for some reason. I don't know if it's gophers or if it doesn't get enough sunlight. I need to take down that piece of metal, I do believe, to get it more sun. And these iris, let me move you up, are just gorgeous. I'm going to get you in a little closer because the blue is being washed out. That white is so white. Can you see that? Just beautiful. And it has the yellow edging. Let me move back a little bit more. My rose in there, my potted rose, has a lettuce in it. I didn't put that there. It must have been in the compost, the seeds. But I can pick that soon and we'll eat it. But that rose is doing good climbing. That's my James Galway. It's a David Austin rose, a pretty climber. That hollyhock, I don't know what color that one is. I'm hoping it's one of my doubles that I planted that were a pink and white, a real pretty pink and white. Look at these. Just absolutely gorgeous. I love it when they plant in a mass bloom in a mass like this. These I will divide. I'll take half of them out this coming fall or probably August. And that'll keep them healthy and not becoming overcrowded. They love this sandy soil back here. As you can see, the hostas are doing pretty good. Here's a Japanese maple I moved over here. It seems to like it. I might put it in a bigger pot and just leave it right here in the summer. Down here, these are some rose cuttings I started and I showed you. It's a rose from my sister-in-law in front of my sister-in-law's house that is just huge and gorgeous. So they're putting on growth, so they're doing good. I have them in 3 different types of containers. One is in a milk jug, one's in one of these cups like I showed in my starting roses from cuttings. One of these cups. And I have them here beside the studio. This gets a little bit of morning sun and then a lot of afternoon shade. So that's perfect for them. They don't get too hot, but they do get enough warmth. I had someone ask me, what temperatures do you keep your cuttings at so that they root? I don't. I just stick them out here and come what the weather is. Like last night, it got 37, 36. And before that, the nighttime lows were in the upper 40s, low 50s. So no set temperature, and mine do root. I'm not fussy about it. So anyways, that being said, let's move on. My begonias, my poor begonias down here, I still got to get them potted up into bigger pots, but these cold temperatures, I didn't get them back in the greenhouse, and they're surviving. I don't know how. They don't like it cold. So those are the tuberous begonias I started in a video. Let's go ahead and move around the garden. I'm disturbing my hummingbird friends here. There's some. I hope you can see him. He's a chubby little guy. Oh yeah, he's not worried about me. This is the hay rack I planted up, and I was worried about it while I was gone, but my friend kept good care and kept it watered. The petunias that were kind of worse for wear, they're coming back. That's ones that I kind of got let dried out, and that wasn't a good thing. Just things just get ahead of me this time of year in the garden. They're fighting over the feeder, that's typical. But everything in here is doing beautifully. The poppy, the oriental poppy I planted in here that I grew from seed. I told you about those. I bought a 50-cent package of seed from Dollar General. I didn't have high hopes for them. I dumped them all into one of my winter sowing containers, and I think every single one of them came up. And now I gave away a bunch, and I've planted several through the garden. I have a couple over there that's going to bloom this year. This one I kept in a container over winter, and it's far behind the others, but that's okay. Everything over here is doing, like I said, beautifully. I moved the mop bucket full of the violas here. I planted a clematis down here. I think I told you that in the last video. It's going to climb this fence. These irises, unfortunately, went through the fence, so they'll be on the back side of it. There's one over here. That's called Persian Prince, I think. That's one thing that's just getting started in my garden is the iris, which I absolutely love my iris. And you're going to see some really pretty ones. So the foxglove right here at my feet, these are not really in a good spot, but I didn't have the heart to move them because they are so healthy and they are going to bloom beautifully right here. They will block the view right here for a short time, and then they'll be done and I go ahead and pull them out. I won't let them go to seed because I've got others around that I can collect seeds from, which I showed last summer how I collect and sow seeds around my garden of the foxglove. They are biennials. They'll grow one year and the next year they will bloom for you. But that's okay. They make a pretty green plant while they're growing. There are varieties that will bloom the first year, and you can find those. The seed companies that sell them will tell you that's their nature. But I love my foxgloves too. They're a beautiful, beautiful spring plant, just a quintessential cottage flower that I just enjoy thoroughly. So I'm going to take you around the garden some more. As you can see, my centerpiece is coming along. The violas are enjoying the little bit of the cool down that we are getting. I planted caladiums in here, but they were old bulbs. My bad, waiting so long to get them planted. So I don't think they're going to come up. So I'm debating what I want to put in here. I may go ahead and put some petunias. They did great in there last year. They were beautiful and performed all summer. You can't go wrong with petunias, even just your regular grocery store 6-pack of petunias. They just do beautifully if you take care of them properly. So let's go back. Beautiful iris. And then behind it, right back there, is that tub of lettuce, and I'll bring you up close. I've already picked from it. We've eaten some salads, and it's doing gorgeous. I put this rose in front of it to shade it while it was super hot. Now that it's cooled down, I can move it away and put it back. I had it right here, but I'm thinking I want to put a container that just has edges and then the mesh on the bottom to protect it from gophers. And I'm thinking I might put some dahlias here. I have a bazillion dahlias. I got to find places to put them. I just have to protect them from the gophers. So I guess it's a raised bed is really what it would be with a protective bottom. It's just 2 foot by 2 foot area, but I could get a couple dahlias in there and just have fun with it. Okay. So let me just take you around the garden, show you some close-ups of my iris, and then we'll talk some more. So all of these have been here for a couple of years. I divide them when they need dividing. Some get moved here and there. This one is a vintage iris, and it's not big and bold. as far as coloring, but this is the one that smells like grape. Some say grape soda, some say grape Kool-Aid, and it just adds a scent to the garden that is just unparalleled. So I love scent in the garden. So this has a place. I have this here, I have it in front, I have it in my side garden just for the scent. And I have a couple others that are nicely scented as well. And it's interesting, they don't all have the exact same scent. It's close to grape Kool-Aid or grape soda. I had a yellow one that was like, smelled like lemon chiffon pie. I had a black one that smelled like licorice. So it's really interesting to see the different scents they carry. This one over here is one of them. I will get close up to for you so you can see or give you a picture, because it gets a little washed out in the camera just because the white is so bright. But I'm going to show you one of my favorites because it's so interesting. I have to be careful stepping in here. I've got things planted, but look at this one. It's a little faded now. I don't know if the snow yesterday, but look at this one down here. This one is called Huckleberry Fudge. To me, it should be called Root Beer Float because that's what it reminds me of, is the root beer color, and then the white, it would be the ice cream. But I just love this one. I have this one in the front as well. It seems to be a very hardy grower, which is good. And I don't know, I don't see any other stalks on this one, but this one just got planted here this last fall, just a small tuber. So it's doing great for what is. The one in the front has tons more stems and blooms on it. But that's a neat thing to do, is to place them around if you have room in different parts of the garden, because sometimes a plant will do better in another spot than where you plant it. So don't give up quickly on a particular plant. I always say right plant, right place can make all the difference in the world. So let's continue around. This one is going to bloom soon too. Next week we'll have all new blooms. And that one, the one with the purple edging, that one is just gorgeous. It's different than the other one. This one over here is a lighter lavender, and it has gold edging on top. This one does not have the gold edging on top. It's just pure white, but it's still gorgeous. And you can see my rack over there. That plant rack is going to go in the greenhouse. Instead of having one bench, I'm going to have these racks, and I've got to finish cleaning out the greenhouse, and that's a work in progress. I'm still trying to get a hold of the guy who's going to do all the repairs on my greenhouse. I was looking at buying a new one, and I thought that's just silly. They're so expensive. How many plants could I buy for, the price? All I need to do, mine is cute, it's serviceable. I just need to fix the things that have been damaged from snow falling on it, etc. And I can extend it out a little bit further to make it a little bit bigger and be content. I don't need a big new greenhouse. Down here, I didn't really talk too much about it. I've got some foxgloves coming up in here. These were reseeded themselves. Down there is where I have my oriental poppy. I also have, this is my Aglaia daisy, which is a real fluffy daisy, and it will bloom all summer long if I keep it deadheaded, but it also needs support, and that's why I have this here. This is a tomato cage I've turned upside down. I don't use it, they call them tomato cages, but I've never used them for tomatoes because they're just much too small, but they make great supports for other things in the garden, like this daisy. And I'm going to show you the close-up of my poppy. You know what? Maybe next week it'll be blooming for us. I've got some petunias planted down here, and I have the alyssum. I planted some little dots of alyssum to go along it. It's going to be the edge of the path. It's going to be a short growing edging along the path. I've also got taller things right here that I'm going to let bloom because they reseeded themselves, and then I'll pull them out when they start to go to seed early. I won't deadhead them because I don't want them to continue there, but I will let them bloom one time and then go ahead and pull them out. So let me show you down here. So there's the petunias. And you see the foxgloves right here growing beautifully. There's another, these are beautiful iris. This one's got, it's a lavender with apricot. And I love that one. I think I need to divide it this year and put some up front. But right down here is my oriental poppy. I think it's 2 plants, and I'm not sure what color. I'm really hoping it's not orange. I don't have a lot of orange. I'm more pinks and purples and blues back here. But no matter, I will just be thrilled because I grew this from a packet of seeds and I never thought I could. So never be afraid to try something new. And that's that little section up close and exciting. Soon it should be in full bloom for you. Let me take you a look at my Colette rose a little closer. It is, like I said, it's struggled. A lot of these buds were on it when I bought it. And I had high hopes that they would be big and lush and beautiful, and they've just kind of stayed tiny. And that's because it came from a warm environment, a very warm town. And then it got moved here where the temperatures have just been so crazy that, you know, it doesn't know what to do. Plus getting transplanted in this pot hasn't helped it either. So let's just get a view from the opposite side. You can see the delphiniums right here. Whoops, thick. Coming up. The obelisk there will be a great support for them. I'll tie them up to it. And just around this way, slowly getting this path laid with bark. I'm glad that truck's gone, all the noise it was making. I tried to get out here early because the sun's so bright that it just, like I said before, washes out color. But I also have to contend with deliveries. I'm just loving this little area I planted. I put some lobelia there. I think I want to get a lot more of that and put a lot of edging in my garden paths. The lobelia, and then I have the alyssum with it. Those alyssums were just the tiniest sprigs, and look, they've already just filled in so well. They will be beautiful. I have tons of alyssum that came up in containers volunteered where I had let them go to seed. This is, look at that sweet pea, that stalk on that thing. It's already going to bloom. I don't remember, this is where one that reseeded itself and came up in the fall, and it actually overwintered. We had a very mild winter. I don't normally have success with growing sweet peas from the fall and then have them survive till the spring, but this one did. So I may try more in this back garden this next winter. Okay, so let's move on down the path. Oh, my roses on the back fence are just loaded with blooms. Probably next week we will have pink flowers all on that. These are highly fragrant. So whenever I walk down this path, it is just a path of scent. Here's an iris here along the wall. This is the walkway to the greenhouse. But I love this iris. It's got freckles. It was given to me by my cousin who dug it up with a friend of hers at an abandoned farm, like a 100-year-old farm in Idaho. So it's just a pretty heirloom. I think I looked it up. I think it's called freckles or something. I need to look it up again, but whatever it is, I love it. And even though the bear smashed it, you can see a piece down there where the bear stepped on it. It's still blooming beautifully. My chicken pen with their penitentiary look, the bear has been to here already, and we had to, you know, put the fence up because the snow had busted it down, and he came and injured one of my chickens, the little rascal. But he doesn't mess with that fence. So I do have irises. This is the vegetable garden area, but I'm incorporating more flowers in it just because I'm also going to put vegetables. Like I said, the lettuce I showed you is up in the flower garden. I'm going to do that. I'm going to try there's some very interesting perennial vegetables that are also just beautiful plants that I'm going to start incorporating in all of my garden. We all could use food all the time. So it'd just be great to have. My strawberries are doing great. Here, I need to pull off, it's already putting on berries and I need to cut them off. You're supposed to, so the plant gains strength. And I just have a hard time doing that, but I'll try to work up the courage to do that. This iris here is also a vintage iris a friend gave to me. She has very shady lot and she just couldn't get them to grow, but I just love that thing. Very delicate, early bloomer. Let me get you closer in my veggie garden so that you can see what I have planted. Let's start right here. I have some mulch still there. That is alfalfa. I like to mulch with alfalfa because it feeds the soil. And down here is a tomato. That is my early girl. You see some milk jugs around it. I filled those with water when I realized or found out that we were going to have icy cold weather. In the daytime, the sun heats that water up, and at night, when the temperatures get super cold, it releases heat. So far, this thing's not wilted even a tiny, tiny bit. It has helped that the soil has been warm from the warm temperatures we had. So it's survived just fine, our almost freezing temperatures. Over here, you see that basket? That's to protect. I planted basil seeds in there. All the other growth in there is my cover crop, which is crimson clover, and it produces nitrogen. You always want something growing in your beds. That helps those microorganisms to flourish. And so a cover crop is essential. And you can grow alfalfa, you can grow the crimson clover. There's so many cover crops. So you would sow this, I would sow this in the fall, and then let it stay there over winter, and it would come up. And then when it's time to plant the beds, I just cut it down and lay it onto the soil and use it as a mulch. So in the center here, because I have to walk in there, I will plant something up against the wall. I have sunflowers I was thinking of doing, which would be a real pretty backdrop there. And I could use the fence to tie them up too. These bamboo pieces will be taken down. I just had them up there because the sun in the evening coming through was really beaten down on my lettuce. I have sugar snap peas and lettuce in that bed. I've been picking lettuce for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and having salads off of it. I have more lettuce planted in there. I also have planted my cucumbers towards the front of the bed, and then I'll put up a trellis for it, and then I can grow my lettuce through the summer because the cucumbers will provide shade and keep the lettuce cooler. I don't have to stop growing lettuce because the temperatures have gotten very, very warm. And I keep seeding lettuce too, so I have succession planting. So I don't stop getting lettuce until it's freezing cold. My blueberries are recovering from being transplanted, so I have high hopes of them recovering. And that brings us back around to our strawberries. This little tub I need to move. I put it over seeds that need it hot in the beds as like a mini greenhouse. But there we are. We're finished with the veggie garden, and we're back around where you can see the backside of the Secret Cottage Garden. Thank you for joining me today, this chilly early May 21st morning, for this tour of the garden. I hope you enjoy my tours. And I've got to remember to start doing on the side garden and the front garden too for you. Even though they're quite the mess, I know you'll enjoy seeing the progress I make there too. Everything gets wild and a little out of hand, but they're still pretty. So I'll see you next time.